All right, folks, here we are for UFC London. It is finally upon us, or at least when you're seeing this, it probably is. For me, actually, I need to point this out ahead of time. It is the Wednesday before UFC Vegas 104. So I think it makes it like March, 9th or 10th or something. I don't know what day it is. Either way, it's the Wednesday before UFC Vegas 104. Can you see how I run my calendar? Anyway, so for UFC London, we've got a ways yet, and that means there could be some fights that fall out, some fights that are added, some things that change. Bear with me, all right? I'm going to be out of town, so I have to record this early because, as you can see, this marker board, this setup, it's pretty hard to travel with. So what that means is I'm recording this video now. I'm going to upload it tonight. Everybody that's a channel member, you might be watching this right now early, you're going to get it early. Everybody else, you're going to get it at about the normal time. So if some of the fights are different, sorry, it's just what happens. Sometimes I gotta do some stuff. So I gotta travel for work. It is what it is. I should be gone most of the week, which is a pain. I couldn't just upload this when I get back. So anyway, that said, if there are some changes, I will post about them most likely in the community tab. It might not be till late in the week when I get back. Maybe I'll even record a short video if it's like the main event, something like that. But otherwise, we're gonna hope that this card stays together. And if it does, everything will be in here. Without any other wasted time, all the links are in the description. Check those out if you want to. Drop a like while you're down there if you want to do it early, and let's go ahead and start breaking down some fights. I'll see you in the first one. We got a fun matchup here in the lightweight division where Guram Kutateladze takes on Kaue Fernandes. Both of these dudes are 3-2 in their last 5 fights, and we're going to start on the Fernandes side. Guy's a good striker with very good movement, and he darts in and out really well. His offensive attacks from the striking area of the fight is going to be mostly kick-based. He's very fast. He doesn't have a tell on these kicks. They come at you, and by the time you realize that they're coming, it's already a little bit too late because he's already started the process. He kicks to all levels, and the leg kick is particularly dangerous. Now, in the grappling, he's solid there as well. If he gets on top, the pressure's good. He's going to work to advance his position. He can scramble well, whether it's from the top or the bottom. But if he is on the bottom, this is kind of good or bad. He does constantly seem to attack arm bars, which, great if you get an arm bar. Not so much if you're just off your back attacking arm bars and failing, because then you lose the round. That's usually how it works. So, good and bad, it is what it is. On the other side, for Guram Kutateladze, solid striker with a very dynamic attack. He can counter-strike really well. He puts together combinations, puts his punches and kicks together in said combinations, and he's got a really good clinch game. Once he clinches up, the elbows are one of his most damaging weapons. He can mix in some wrestling as well. He's decent there where he will mix in takedowns to keep his opponents guessing. His takedown defense is pretty good, and generally he pops back to his feet when he is taken down. When I look at this fight, I think this is a pretty interesting one, and there are paths to victory for both guys. But for me, I'm going to side with Guram Kutateladze because, well, that was a mouthful, because I do think the experience in the UFC is going to be beneficial, and I think he's just going to be a slight level ahead on the feet, and I think his offensive grappling is what's going to put it to the mat when he puts it to the mat, as opposed to Fernandes bringing it to the mat on his terms. So we're going to go with Guram, but let me know what you think, and I will see you in the lightweight matchup here. Jai Herbert takes on Chris Padilla. Padilla is 5-0 in his last 5 fights, 2-2 and a draw, for Jai Herbert. In this matchup, let's talk about Chris Padilla first. He is a good striker who comes forward with his jab, works that well, and keeping that rear hand clear up all the time. He does not drop that rear hand unless he's throwing it, which it doesn't really drop. It just comes away from his face. Otherwise, it's right there. He uses elbows really well as his opponent is crashing the pocket. So when his opponent comes in, he'll start throwing elbows either from the rear or lead side. He does a good job with that. Now, in the wrestling, this is his path in this fight. He's got a good body lock. Good cage push. If he gets on top, his control is pretty solid, especially from the half guard. And from here, he likes to land elbows. His ground and pound is very deadly. And I think this is his path in this fight, his best path. Now, on the other side, Jai Herbert, this is his path, striking and clinch. He's a good striker with plenty of power. The guy's got good kicks, especially his body kick. That is a very, very strong weapon, especially if your opponent is keeping their hands high. That's going to be a chance to hit the body low. That's how that works. You know, you can't block both at the same time. He's got good flurries, and he has a block and return style. Very much like a Justin Gaethje. Different style, obviously, in the way they do it, but where they block the shot and then return fire. You saw Gaethje do that really well against Felipe at 313, where he block shot, come back with uppercut. Did a great job. It's similar for Herbert, maybe not the uppercut per se, but he uses that same style of block, return. That's his best style of striking in these fights. Now, good tie clinch. The knees are devastating, and his height makes that kind of more so because it's not a long way from his knee to their face because they're shorter than him most of the time. So using that height advantage that Herbert has in pretty much every single fight, he gets those knees going pretty well. Now, decent jiu-jitsu. uses the length really well. He's got a good body triangle, things like that. But the problem is his takedown defense isn't the best, and that is where you beat the guy. So I think Chris Padilla is going to go to the wrestling after realizing on the feet he's going to have a little bit of trouble. He could win on the feet, sure, but I think he's going to use the wrestling, and that's how he gets it done. Let me know what you think. I'm taking Chris Padilla. I'd love to hear from you. And also, do me a favor, like the video. I'll see you guys in the next matchup at 125 pounds. Kavanagh takes on Felipe dos Santos. Dos Santos, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. All action for this guy. On the other side, Kavanagh is a guy that has made a big splash in the UFC. He's 5-0 in his last 5, 8-0 undefeated overall. Let's start on the Dos Santos side. The dude's a good striker, and he's going to come forward. He's going to put forth a bunch of volume. He's got a nice leg kick. Front kicks, knees up the middle, the flying knees. He's got a diverse attack, but he gets a bit wild. And when he starts throwing his hands, sometimes things get hectic. His striking defense isn't the best, but the dude can take a punch. He's very durable. He fights with that similar to someone like a Charles Oliveira style, that like shoot-a-box style. So he does that very well, but it obviously results in not the best defense. On the grappling department, he has a good Brazilian jiu-jitsu. His takedowns are just decent, but he will set them up with strikes. He'll strike his way into close range and go for a takedown from there. He's got a good butterfly guard from his back, but he's very much submission over position, so his top control suffers because of that. And also because he is skilled in the jiu-jitsu department, his takedown defense sometimes is lacking because he's cool with working from his back. On the other side, Kavanagh, solid striker. Dude's combos are absolutely fantastic. Plenty of power. He darts in and out of range extremely well, and he has a leg kick that he likes to work to accumulation. What do I mean by accumulation? Well, he'll start hitting those leg kicks. Keep going to that leg kick well until you start walking a little funny, and that's what he goes for. Now, his leg kick is not the only kick in his arsenal. He has a very diverse kicking arsenal. He's extremely accurate in his strikes. He also counters very well. The one problem on the feet that I do see for him, especially in this matchup, when he starts throwing heavy, sometimes you'll see the guy drop his hands, like so. He'll throw a big shot and then, the other hand's way down, or his hand will come down after he lands said big shot, or even misses. So that's a problem. Good grappler. His takedowns against the cage are pretty good. He takes the back really well once he gets the fight to the mat, and he does have a pretty good sprawl to defend takedowns. This matchup will be fun for as long as it lasts, that I can tell you. But what I'm going to do is tell you that I'm taking the undefeated fighter, Kavanagh, to get this one done. But let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next fight. We got some really good matchmaking here at 135 pounds, where Loughran coming in 3-2 in his last 5, is taking on Fletcher, who is 4-1 in his last 5. When we look at these guys, I'm going to start with Fletcher. He's a good striker with good boxing combinations, and he works his jab really well. The problem for him is that he is willing to back up a lot of the time, and that's something that you don't want to see, especially because the judges see that as losing often. So good grappling as well. Guy has really good takedown entries, and similar to what you're going to see from a lot of English fighters, they have really good takedowns against the cage. I don't know what it is about cage wrestling for England, but their open mat wrestling doesn't seem to be the best in that part of the world, but they do have really good cage wrestling and takedowns up against the cage. Fletcher is no different. Now, he's a good back taker, and he has a really good rear naked choke. I think that's what he's going to want to do in this matchup, is get the fight to the mat, go for the back, and get that rear naked choke. That's his plan. On the other side, we have Loughran. He's a pretty good striker as well. It's not always the prettiest, but he's got power. He's going to come forward. He's going to launch this overhand. His power isn't like lights out power, but it's enough that it'll sting you, especially when he's coming forward. And he's got a good leg kick, and he's going to pump that jab as well. So he's going to just pump the jab, pump the jab, pump the jab, throw the leg kick, throw the overhand, but it's a lot of jab pumping as he's coming forward. Now, wrestling, pretty good there. He will set up his takedowns with the strikes, likes to get to half guard and just kind of stay there, and then use that for ground and pound. For me in this matchup, it's going to be interesting because Loughran's going to be the one going forward. Fletcher's probably going to be going backward unless he has a moment where he starts using the grappling to push Loughran back. If he can do that, I think he has a lot of success. I do think that Fletcher is the better fighter here, and I'm going to go with him to get the win. I think he's going to get the fight to the mat and use the grappling on his terms. So we're going to take Fletcher. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next step. We're at heavyweight. Marcin Tybura takes on Mick Parkin. Parkin is undefeated 10-0 and 5-0 in his last 5, 3-2 for Tybura. Now, this is a step up in competition for Parkin, so let's see how it goes for him. He's a good striker overall, is Mick Parkin. He's got good forward pressure, plenty of power, and he does pick his shots really well. His leg kick is about the only thing. He's got a lot of volume coming forth, but he can pick the shots and get to flowing a little bit if his opponents are giving him something to work with. He's got basic combinations that he'll put together, and he seems to counter the jab pretty well. We noticed that in his last matchup as well. Good grappler. He does use his strength quite a bit to get takedowns, which isn't something that I think is going to go super well against a guy like Tybura. So I think it's going to be better for Parkin to keep this on the feet. But if he does get to the mat, he's got good top control and good ground and pound. On the other side, for Tybura, this guy is a better, I would say a better wrestler than Parkin. He's going to be a real low-risk style grinder. He's going to push against the cage. He's going to grind on you. He's going to get the takedown maybe, get on top, grind on you. Then he's got some decent ground and pound that he can mix in when need be, but he really just wins fights by just being the controller, wearing guys out, and then taking it as it goes, takes what's given to him, nothing too over the top. So that's what he's going to do in the grappling. Decent striker as well. He's got power when he decides to use it. He's got a nice prodding jab, which we've seen that Parkin can counter the jab, so we'll see if he actually uses that. But he will strike to close the distance really well. Ultimately for me in this fight, I think this is a chance for Parkin to really show what he knows and what his skill level is, but I do think it's just a bit too much too early for him, and I think Tybura is going to turn back yet another prospect. I think he's going to do so by wrestling him up against the cage, grinding on him, maybe securing a couple of takedowns here and there, but making it real boring, real ugly. So we're going to take Marcin Tybura to get this one done and turn back yet another prospect. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you in the next fight. We got middleweights here. Andrey Pulyaev takes on Christian Leroy Duncan. In this matchup here, Pulyaev is 5-0 in his last 5 fights after coming off that win on the Contender Series. Christian Leroy Duncan is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Now, for CLD, which we're going to refer to him here, he's a good striker. He's got a very wild kind of style, and it leaves him open to counters, which is a problem. But the elbows, the flying knees, the power, those type of things make him extremely dangerous on the feet, and that's how he wins a lot of his fights, is just being a very dangerous fighter. In the grappling, he's got decent wrestling. He's got pretty good takedown defense, and a lot of it's based on his athleticism because he's a very athletic guy. He's got decent takedowns. Again, a lot of it is based on his athleticism, a bit flashy, things like that. His cage push is good, and his ground and pound is devastating. When we look at the other side for Pulyaev, good striker. He's really technical, picks his shots really well, does a good job with that. The body kick is nasty, works his jab pretty well, but the problem is he backs up when he's pressed and throws a lot of single shots. And single shots are not the type that typically will back up a guy like CLD, so there is that issue. He's a decent grappler and can mix in takedowns. They're decent. His control is pretty good, and he does have a surprising level of submission ability from his back. I don't know that that's really going to be the way for him to win this fight. I think he's going to have to be the more technical striker, land those counter shots on a guy like CLD. I don't think he's going to get it done, though. I think the single shot nature is going to allow CLD to come forward, land his power shots, and get this thing done. So we're going to take CLD to get it done. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll see you in the next fight. Strawweight matchup next. Shauna Bannon takes on Puja Tomar. Tomar is 5-0 in her last 5 fights, 4-1 for Bannon. We're going to start on the Tomar side. She is a good striker with good combinations where she puts her punches and kicks together. She's got a solid leg kick and a side kick that I really like. She'll use it often to create that space, give her the space that she wants. The thing I don't like about her striking is she's willing to move backwards, which is usually a way to lose a fight. Doesn't matter because last fight she lost the fight for sure, but they still gave it to her. So there is that. Takedown defense isn't the best either, and I think we can echo that sentiment for Shauna Bannon. We'll start there. Her takedown defense, it's not the best. She gets controlled on the mat quite a bit, but she's gritty. So even when she's getting controlled, she's doing what she can. She's working with what she's got. On the feet, she's a good striker as well. She's got kicks to all levels, excellent balance, so she can throw a kick, keep that leg chambered, and slap another one at you, which is really impressive. It's not super effective in a fight often, but it looks cool. Good combinations, puts her punches and kicks together really well. She can fight out of either stance, which I like, but her striking defense is, not the best. Ultimately, this is interesting because the UFC, it seems that both of these ladies are the type that the UFC wants to give wins to, and even if they lose fights, have a chance to get the win just because. For me, ultimately, I decided to just go with the dog in this one. So we're going to take Puja Tomar to get this one done. I don't feel mega confident, but what I do think is maybe she goes out there, gets on top of Shauna Bannon. I know she's not a wrestler, but if Tomar decides to get on top, she could probably hold Bannon down. I think she can do that for 2 rounds. So we're going to take Puja Tomar and hope for the best. Let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next fight. Next up, we have a lightweight matchup. Jordan Vucenic takes on Chris Duncan. Now, both of these guys are 4-1 in their last 5. We're going to go ahead and start on the Duncan side. He's a decent striker with plenty of power. He's got good leg kicks. He's very good in a brawl. Now, this is interesting about Duncan because sometimes guys that fight like this are not necessarily better in a brawl. They just like it. Duncan is kind of the guy that is better in a brawl because his striking defense is lacking whether they're brawling or not. But at least in a brawl, it really opens up that power for him and it lets him kind of start landing his offense on his terms. Sure, he gets hit. Sure, he keeps his hands too low, but sometimes that doesn't matter for him, and he's won a lot of fights doing this. In the grappling department, he's decent there as well. He can really slow things down in the cage push and control guys really well. That's a good tactic for him in a lot of matchups. He's also got some opportunistic subs in his arsenal. On the other side, for Jordan Vucenic, I'm going to screw that up. Either way, for Jordan, good striker. Leg kick, keeps the high guard, throws together combinations. He's a good striker. I would say he's the cleaner striker of the two. Maybe he doesn't have as much success in a brawl, for example, but he is a better striker overall, I would say. Grappling, this is where he gets it done a lot of the time. He's a solid grappler with really good takedowns against the cage. Open mat takedowns against the cage, much better. Does a good job with that. The second effort is there where he'll try to reap the leg if he doesn't get the first takedown, or the first attempt to be successful. That second attempt on the reap is what usually gets it. Works to advance his position, and he has quite the diverse sub-arsenal. So for me, in this one here, I think Jordan Vucenic is going to get this one done. I think he's got a lot of paths here, but I think if he gets that grappling going, it's going to serve him well. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you in the next. Back at 170 pounds for Kevin Holland. He now takes on Gunnar Nelson, who fights once every millennia, right? 3-2 in the last 5 for Nelson, 1-4 for Kevin Holland. That's kind of surprising to see that. But either way, Gunnar Nelson, decent striker with that karate style. He has a really good leaping lead hook where he'll just kind of jump in with it and use it to close distance when he needs to. He's got good flurries, but he does manage his range pretty well. That comes along with the karate style. He's a solid grappler. This is what he needs to do to get this fight won. He needs to use these takedowns against the cage because that's where they're pretty good. Open space, not as much. Gets on top. His elbows in the ground and pound are deadly. Got a good submission arsenal. We all know that. He's got slick transitions. He likes to take the back. From there, he's got good control. He's active from the bottom even. He's got good rear naked choke. All the stuff that you need from a grappler. If he gets this fight to the mat, he's going to have some success. If he stays on the feet, he's toast. Kevin Holland, solid striker. He's got good range control. His striking defense is better than you think it is. The guy stays just out of range of punches. He's extremely accurate. Got fast hands, plenty of power. On the feet, Kevin Holland all day. In the grappling, he should be able to do well, right? He's got good jiu-jitsu. He's got good sweeps, scrambles, active from his back. He's quick to attack with the front chokes. But the problem is, once you get him down, his takedown defense isn't great, and then he's going to get flattened out. And once he gets flattened out, that's when he loses fights. Also, it's right here. If Kevin Holland doesn't have a really solid first round, he falls apart. And that is a problem for Kevin Holland, and it has been in the past. For me, that alone, the 1-4 stretch, I don't think Kevin Holland is getting this one done. We're taking Gunnar Nelson to get it done, using his grappling and doing enough to get the fight to the mat and get the win. Let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next fight. Featherweight for a matchup between Nathaniel Wood and Morgan Cherriere. Both of these guys are 4-1 in their last 5, although a lot of people thought Morgan won his fight against Chepe Mariscal, where he lost, I guess. I had a bet on Mariscal. It worked out for me. I was a little concerned when they were reading scorecards. Either way, let's break this down. For Cherriere, dude's a solid striker. Really good forward pressure, really good power. Counter striking is really good. In the pocket, this is where he has the best success. He gets in tight, starts landing his boxing shots, boxing combinations, things like that. Super tough, super durable. His volume can be hit or miss. He needs an opponent that's willing to engage him. I think he's got that here, so I don't think we got to worry. But just saying, it is a thing that sometimes is a problem. If he has an opponent that doesn't want to engage, he struggles with volume. He doesn't know how to force that engagement sometimes with people that are really good at getting out of the way. You know what I mean? Decent grappling. He mixes in his takedowns as a change of pace, but not really like he's looking to grapple most of the time. But he will mix them in to keep you guessing and open up the striking. On the other side, Nathaniel Wood, he's a solid striker as well. His leg kick, he'll just constantly be hitting that leg while he's working his other stuff. He's got good combinations. He's accurate, keeps a high guard, and he's got quick hands. Problem is, his punches don't really pack a bunch of power to them because he's a small guy for the division. He's small for featherweight. He doesn't have a lot of big power shots, and I think the more powerful shots are coming from Cherriere. So although they're both solid strikers, one guy's punches are going to be more effective than the others, at least in my opinion. Grappling, I do think Wood has a slight edge here. He is a good grappler with a good sprawl, good takedowns, can mix in the trips as well, good top control, and he's very opportunistic with the submissions, particularly the chokes. For me, ultimately, though, I do think this plays out on the feet more often than not, and I think that Morgan Cherriere is going to land the more damaging shots and get the nod. So we're taking Morgan Cherriere to get this one done. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next one. And for some straw weights, and guys, if you haven't done it already, make sure you like the video. I do appreciate it. It goes a long way. Let's break this down. Molly McCann, she comes in 2-3 in her last 5 fights. She's taking on Estela Nunes, 1-4 in her last 5 fights. Interesting. And we'll start with the Nunes side. She's a good striker, right? This is purely what she is a good striker. She's got good combinations. She can throw them moving forward or backwards, which is really good. She's got a good 3-2 combo. I do really like that for her. Teep kicks are there. The calf kicks are there. The footwork is there. but she doesn't do it for very long because she gets a little tired. Also, her takedown defense, non-existent. And if she ends up on her back, that's going to sap that cardio faster. So realistically, she needs to have a good first couple of rounds on the feet and not have any grappling exchanges in order for her to win a fight, and her record reflects that. On the other side, Molly McCann, she hasn't been on the best run. Obviously, 2-3 ain't great, but what we got, good striking, good forward pressure, volume, power, that bully style that she has, that's all well and good. She is a bit of a headhunter now. She's fallen in love with getting knockouts, and a lot of that comes from those back-to-back spinning elbow knockouts that she got, and now she loves the spinning elbow. The problem with that is she'll throw it too much, and it'll cause her to just not be in the right place, she'll get out of position, things like that. You don't want that, and you don't want to be reliant on landing a spinning elbow knockout, although it's super cool when it lands. In the grappling, she's decent here, and much like many of the English fighters, she has good takedowns against the cage. Her ground and pound is powerful, and I think if she goes to this is an easy win for her. This is not a pick based on me really thinking Molly McCann is the top level. This is a pick against Estela Nunes, who has a lot of holes in her game, and it just isn't UFC level in my opinion. We're taking Molly McCann to get it done. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next time matchup in the light heavyweight division. Jan Blachowicz takes on Carlos Ulberg. Now, Carlos Ulberg, 5-0 in his last 5 fights, only 1 loss in the career. For Blachowicz, he's been out for quite some time. He had some injuries, things like that. It adds up, 2-2 and a draw in his last 5 fights. Now, however, there's something to be said for that. That draw, I scored it for him. I thought he won the first 3 rounds. I didn't see any 10-8 in that fight, so that's silly. I think he won over the current champion in Ankalaev. Also, I think he beat the previous champion. That split decision that went to Pereira over him, I thought he won that fight. So this doesn't look great, but it is what it is. There's some decisions going the wrong way, and maybe that's something we need to factor into this fight. So for Carlos Ulberg, dude's a solid striker. We know that. That is what he is the best at. Yes, we saw him get a submission in his career over Don Jung, I believe it was. That's not what he's going to for his game plan. He's a striker through and through. Good combinations, very good leg kicks, super nice counter striking ability. He keeps the range well. The power's there. He doubles up the lead hand really, really well. Basically, on the feet, the dude is fantastic, super technically sound, very crisp. His takedown defense, it looks pretty good. So he has a lot to like about Carlos Ulberg, but we got a lot of experience here on the Blachowicz side. Dude's a solid striker as well. He's got power, that legendary Polish power. People say it's not there. Did you see what this man did to Dominic Reyes' body with those kicks? He turned that into like something that Picasso would paint. So for Jan Blachowicz, the power is there, even if it's not what you're expecting. When you think power, you just think, oh, he just knocks everybody out with 1 punch. It doesn't always translate that way. The power can be different. In this case, the leg and body kicks, very powerful. He's got tight defense. He checks kicks almost offensively. When he checks the kicks, you feel those suckers. It hurts a lot. The dude has some thick bones. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's something in genetics. Dude's got thick bones. He's durable as heck. He's got decent grappling. The takedowns, they're all right. But once he gets on top, his top pressure is actually pretty solid. And in this matchup here, it's a good fight where I think that both of these guys are going to have success on the feet. But I think Blachowicz has the grappling advantage. And I do think that on the feet, his shots are going to be doing some serious damage to Ulberg, and I'm going to take Jan Blachowicz to get this one done and probably get robbed in a split decision, and that's something I can live with because I'm taking Jan Blachowicz as a big underdog to get it done. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you in the main event. We've got our main event here in the 170-pound division where Leon Edwards takes on Sean Brady. This is an interesting matchup because there's a lot of title implications, but guys, this is your last reminder to go ahead and give that like button a little elbow for me. Now, if you hit the button with your elbow, that's super impressive, and I will take your word for it because I can't see what you're doing. At least you think. Let's break this one down. But guys, like I said, 4-1 in the last 5 fights. In that 4-1, the only loss being to the current champion, Belal Muhammad. So both of these guys want to get that one back. Both of these guys want to get to that title shot. When we start on the Sean Brady side, he's a decent striker. Boxing combinations have come a long way. And I know people just think of him as a pure grappler. That's his best bet, but he does have some okay striking. It's coming along. Boxing combinations are there. The overhand is there, and the leg kick is there. He's not terrible on the feet anymore. Now, he is a little uncomfortable against better strikers, and that's what he's facing here, so I don't expect him to go to the striking. In the grappling, though, this is where he is solid. Sean Brady is one of the better topside grapplers in the division. He might even be the best. For that, he uses his cage control to secure a takedown. He'll get the guys up against the cage, secure the takedown, starts working from there. He also catches kicks really well, and that's going to be interesting because Leon Edwards is a kicker. So if he catches a kick, gets the takedown there, he might slow down the kick arsenal of a guy like Leon Edwards. He's got excellent top control, especially from that half guard, because in the half guard, he can start using that ground and pound to start baiting his opponents, and that's where he goes to his top side chokes. He's got his arm triangle and that single arm guillotine we saw him use quite a few times earlier in his UFC career. Those are the type of moves he can get from baiting people with that ground and pound, getting them to do something to react to that. And then, oh, right there, arm triangle. Oh, right there, single arm guillotine. He does those from the top without giving up position. It's excellent. I do think if he gets on top, he stays on top for the round. Now, when we look at Leon Edwards on the feet, he's going to be much better. He's a solid striker with good counter strikes. He likes to do that collar tie to the elbow. He likes to do the pull 1-2. He likes to circle off into a hook. These are all some counter strike styles that he likes to use, and he uses them all very effectively. Puts together combinations super well. Punches and kicks, puts them together. We saw that in the Usman fight where he won the title, where he put that cross to the head kick and shocked the world with 50 seconds left or whatever it was. He's super accurate. Again, we saw that in that fight for sure on full display, but he's willing to back up. That is a problem for him because if he gets too close to the cage, that's where he'll get taken down. We saw Bilal Muhammad able to capitalize on that against him because he wants to use the cage for takedown defense. Well, certain people are better at using the cage for offense, and that's what he's got in Sean Brady. So he needs to mind his P's and Q's here. In the clinch, he does a good job. He's really good at trapping his opponent's arm, their dominant arm, and then landing with his big elbows coming over the top and cutting guys up with that. Now, in the grappling, he's pretty good here too. He'll get on a single leg and use that to push his opponent against the cage, and then from there, similar to like in the Thai clinch, he'll trap an arm and start landing his shots, whether it's ground and pound punches, whatever. Ultimately, though, it comes down to this. Who's getting their game plan going? If it stays on the feet, Leon Edwards is winning this fight all day. If it gets in the grappling, Sean Brady is winning this fight all day. For me, though, I've got to side with the grappler in Sean Brady. I think if he gets on top, Edwards is toast for a round. And I think he can do that at least 3 out of the rounds and survive the other 2. I think he might even be able to do that for 5 of the rounds because he just needs to get on top. I think he's going to catch some kicks. I think he's going to back him against the cage. And I think he gets on top and preserves his energy, conserves himself, does what he needs to do. We're taking Sean Brady. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. I do appreciate it very much. Like I said, this is recorded way in advance. So if you're just now catching it, if something's changed, nothing I can do. So let me know what your thoughts are on the card in general in the comments below. And while you're here, maybe tune into one of the other videos on the channel. I do appreciate it so much. YouTube really likes it when you go from one of my videos to another one of my videos and it says, wow, that 138 MMA guy is really getting people to click on his channel. So if you do that, that's fantastic. See you guys down the road.